start off with The Whale here. Another polarizing film for different reasons than Babylon. It's Darren Aronofsky though, so like unlike Damien Chazelle, like Darren Aronofsky, like it's gonna probably be obvious it's gonna be a polarizing film for most people. More so than Damien Chazelle, you'd say that. Like, come on, Darren Aronofsky is more a polarizing filmmaker than Damien Chazelle.
Yeah, definitely more.
Not even an argument.
Yeah, Mother versus La La Land. I mean,
100%
not even.
I'm just thinking of Aronofsky's filmography. Okay, maybe Mother actually, his last one.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what's fresh in people's mind. But
I guess so.
The Whale, like I thought Brendan Fraser absolutely lived up to the hype of his performance, which is hard to do because the hype was immense. Like it started back in like September where people were like, "Oh, he's getting the longest review, like standing ovations and stuff." But he lived up to the hype, and like Cam and I just talked about, Hong Chow, who is the assistant to Ray Fiennes in The Menu, is the nurse for Brendan Fraser in The Whale, and she's incredible. Like she's having such a great year in 2022, so I'm excited to see where that takes her. And then Sadie Sink though, and Cam, I really want to hear your thoughts on this. When she did the angsty teenager stuff, it didn't work for me. It felt super forced. But when she was, but in the emotional scenes, like when she had to do the emotion, blew me away. Like she was incredible in those. But when she was like the mean angsty teenager, like it just felt super forced to me. So I don't know. I'll kick it off to you there. What do you think on those performances?
I'm gonna be honest. Like this is gonna be the stupidest thing I've ever said, but I think Sadie Sink was the second best part of that movie, and it's the stupidest thing I've ever said because I said Hong Chow should win for supporting actress. Maybe I should have put Sadie Sink there, but who cares? I'm an idiot. It doesn't matter. Brendan Fraser obviously does an incredible job. Like without a doubt. I think I put him in as the best performance of the year. I can't remember exactly. It's one or two. It's also, God damn it, it's so hard doing that and like not trying to just look at the Oscars list, like trying to just or like your guys' list. It's so hard to actually nominate.
Yeah,
people.
that was my bad. I meant to send that out with like
ages.
I meant to send out the nominees list as blind CCs because I didn't want you guys to reply all so you can all see each other's because I wanted it to be like whatever, but whatever.
I didn't look at your guys.
I didn't look. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I except for I think I did for like a couple maybe production design and just see where your heads was at because that's like shit I probably don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm never gonna make fun of the Oscars again. There are a couple of the Oscars missed that like it's the easiest thing to hit. We'll talk about that later, but man, that's hard.
I saw someone on like their Letterboxd list of their 2022 rank. You know how you can like add a bio? Someone added like his running top 5 of each category in his bio. So anytime he added a movie, he would update every single category if needed. So he just kept it running for the whole year.
Yeah, I think next year I'm gonna like if
that's kind of smart. I think I might try.
Hopefully
to do that.
We keep this going in my notes app. I'm gonna just like mark down when there's a great performance because like I forget, man, and it's
yeah.
I was like looking at my movie rankings and I'm like, was there a great performance in that? Was there great cinematography in that? Like I hadn't thought of it while doing the actual review, or I had, but I probably forgot by now. But back to The Whale. I don't know what my score is, to be honest with you.
It's a tough
this
one.
is a movie like I am kind of dumbfounded on and I kind of want to see it again just so I know where I'm at. So I haven't given it a score. It'll be around a 3.5. I didn't love it. I hate the ending. I hated the ending.
The final like 5 seconds especially.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The final 5 seconds. Let me know what you guys
But like
think.
the final like scene, I really like the emotional back and forth. The final 5 seconds was awful.
Just let us know what you guys think when you see it. I hated it.
Is it what you expected it to be?
The movie?
Or does it kind of?
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah, just kind of. I'm gonna give you. I mean, like, it's done in a way that's interesting.
One thing though is like a lot of people harp on the fact that they're like, oh, it's like a play translated to a movie because it is a remake of like a play into a film. But everyone's like, oh, it's a single setting. Like people walk on stage, walk off stage. But like to me, I think maybe just 'cause I read so much of those reviews before going into it, like it never really like seemed to me like, oh, it's a single setting, one person coming in, coming out. It just seemed like a normal movie. Like I don't know, Cam, if you felt like it felt like a play where people were walking on set, walking off stage. It just felt like just a single set, like something like The Guilty or something. I don't know. Like it didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of the moment.
Yeah,
or anything.
Yeah, kind of.
I was fully entranced for this whole thing because like it was like just under 2 hours, and it's a movie that like based on what it is like should be somewhat a boring film. But I was
didn't
fully
feel
locked
boring
in.
like that. Yeah, I'll give it that. It didn't feel boring. One thing, it kind of felt like at some points it was like it was losing story a little bit to kind of be like, hey, look how fat this dude is, which I guess you kind of have to show like the severity of it. And I understand that, but I can see how it might not have gone over all that well and might be offensive to some people. But like there were definitely points in it that was like,
oh, it's definitely vulgar, where's aggressively offensive.
How does this affect the story actually, or is this just to show like he's fat, you know?
I think a lot of people could and will take offense to this movie because it's very not only just about obesity, but like the family drama aspect, like that would have been like not just about like being obese, it's just like abandoning your family or whatever. Like very like cruel movie. Like they definitely push it pretty far.
Do you think this could be the first film we all give a different rating?
That would be interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone else will give it a 4.5, so that we're already 1 for 1 right there. That I think everyone will be different from me.
It'll be interesting to see where everyone lies. This was, like we said, my theater was kind of packed for this thing. So this was like the first movie in a long, long while I've sat next to someone, and I like had to. I normally I'm a seat in between.
You're me.
Yeah, like I never sit next to people. One point for the reason I get on my phone to take notes, and I didn't really take notes during this. I did take two. And it's like things I mentioned. I had written down within the first like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of the movie. Sadie Sink is just an absolute dick in this thing. Like just the meanest person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
She's just horribly mean, but you guys will see that. And then also my other note is Ty Simpkins is like looks the least like someone looked when they were a kid that I've ever seen in my life. He looks nothing like he did.
What is he from?
When he's the guy, he's the little kid in Iron Man 3. He's the little kid in Jurassic World, but he looks nothing like he did as a kid.
Are these the high IQ, sophisticated notes you take during a movie?
Yeah, dude.
This guy's pulling his phone out in the middle of the
to take those notes.
I told you.
Just
I took
to
them
write that
within the
Sadie
first
Sink
20.
is a dick.
Yeah. I didn't have any more notes.
Which, to be fair, I don't think on that one you had to take a note of because the whole movie, I was just blown away by this. Is like the meanest person I may have ever seen in a film.
Exactly.
And then like I saw a lot of people saying like they didn't like it because they tried to like give her an emotional or a redemption arc, but I don't think they did. I think it was just inside his mind he was giving her.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, and I think it was like, I don't know. They gave her a bit of a reason to like it is her dad, you know. I'm sure she cares about him to an extent, you know. But yeah, she's just the worst in this thing. And then also I told you I did take out my phone one more time to text you guys. There was a dude in this theater snoring, man.
I've heard that before.
he was, and this is not a loud movie, obviously, because it's very set in one location. Yeah. It's dialogue driven. There's not a big like score. It's just this dude. Not the entire time, but for a good like 20-minute round, and no one woke him up, man.
Why didn't you wake him?
He was like 2 rows in front of me, and I could hear him still, and people were laughing at him during it, but no one woke him up. I know, man. It was so funny. Yeah, I had to text you guys that someone was just taking a snooze during this thing, all-time moment. But that's all I have. I don't know where I'm gonna land.
Have any of you ever fell asleep in the cinema?
Yeah, I fell asleep during Amsterdam. I said that.
I think I did for like a minute on Amsterdam.
Here's one I'm not proud of, but it was just like I was so damn tired at the time. I fell asleep my first viewing of Uncut Gems. And that's a movie.
It's a hard movie to fall asleep during.
No, that's a hard. I went back, man, because like I fucking loved that movie. I went back and I loved every bit that I wasn't asleep, and I fell asleep for like 10 minutes, but I was so tired. The theater was empty. I was alone. Not my best moment.
That's the exact opposite of a film you'd fall asleep to.
I know, man. Just I always say it's like one of the most anxiety-inducing movies of all time. But man, I was so tired. It was back in college, I think. I don't remember when it came out, but I don't know.
2019.
Yeah. But we can probably leave the whale there. Like I said, right when I
it'll
left
be
the
around
theater,
a 70 for me.
Right. Like I said, right when I left the theater, I very much enjoyed it. Gave it a 4.5, but don't expect any of you to give it there. Like I don't know. I think I've dealt with like weight issues my whole life, never like to this extent, but so I could relate and empathize with a lot of stuff in there. So I feel like it like hit me a little extra just because I have like was a super overweight kid, like lost a ton of weight. Now I'm like gained a ton of weight. It's just like dealing with those. You can kind of relate to a lot of stuff, like the binge eating and like the trying to be good, but then just like one small thing goes your way and you're like, fuck it. Like the floodgates are open now and I'm just going to give up. So I think it like impacted me a little extra that way. And Brendan Fraser absolutely lives up to the hype. But people were crying in my theater like hard, like similar to the spoiler alert where I could just like hear people like gasping for air, like sobbing.
Did you cry? Or did you
I got watery eyes. I never cried. And same with my girlfriend. And she hates sad movies, but she didn't end up crying. And I think it's just because you'll see this when it happens. Like there's just some choices Darren Aronofsky makes that kind of take away from like being fully immersed in the emotional
just
moment.
Fucking weird.
At some points, it's like he tries to make it like such a disgusting thing, which I'm sure will offend people, to where it like takes you out of it a little bit rather than like a sad moment, you know. And it is sad, but not like cry sad.
George, you've seen Requiem for a Dream, haven't you? I don't know if these two guys have, but you compare it to that, wouldn't you? Where he puts things in that are like visually so distressing, it's past the point of sad, and you're just like.
Yeah, I still think Requiem for a Dream is.
You've seen this? Oh, you've seen it.
Oh,
I watched it a couple weeks ago.
All right,
not a couple weeks ago at this point, probably a couple months ago, but
like a year ago.
Yeah.
So